This is the story of the best real-life race weekend in my entire career as a sim racer. This is the third time I'm racing a Formula 4 in my life, and my team gave me just one mission: to get better results than the first two races. And if I fail, I might never drive here again. This is the last chance I have to prove myself as a racing driver. And I will tell you now, you want to watch this video until the end of race 2 to understand how intense this race weekend was. Now the question is, with such limited real life experience, can a sim racer actually compete against real life athletes who have been doing this for their entire life? Let me tell you how I got here in the first place. I started doing sim racing 5 years ago and went deep into racing technique, reading books, and practicing with faster drivers, doing coaching, participating in championships, and practicing for hours every day. In 2021, I became Canadian champion in iracing, and in 2022, a real-life team invited me to test a real racing car. In 2023, I got the chance to race a Formula 4 car in real life for the first time. All this happened way too fast, and I'm still trying to believe that this is actually happening to me. On my first Formula 4 race weekend, I was lucky enough to get a podium, but only because of a crash that happened in the race. So I don't really know if I really deserved it. On the second race weekend, I became a lot more consistent, but ended up missing out on the podium just because I was not aggressive enough. So I felt frustrated and started questioning myself as a racing driver. Maybe a sim racer does not have what it takes to compete in real life. Maybe I wasn't ready for it yet. But now the team gave me one last chance, and then it rains. Now first practice is cancelled, and we're only going to have a few laps of practice before qualifying. This sucks for me because I need the track time. All my competitors have a lot of experience on this track, and I need every single lap to find my pace. So we have only the second practice to find the pace before qualifying. And here's one more thing to spice things up. This time, we're using a different tire compound than the last race. So I need to test everything as quickly as possible, even at the out lap. So I head into the second practice, I start driving as fast as I can, and things seem okay until the car has an engine problem. So I start losing power randomly on the straights, and then it starts happening again and again and again. So I have to go back to the pits and tell the team about it.
¿Algún problema?
Pego potencia do lado. Por segundo, depois volta.
Now I'm in trouble because the team could not find a solution on time, and qualifying is about to start, so they decide to give me a spare car for the qualifying session. And here I am, into the qualifying session with 3 laps of practice in a new car that felt totally different. But you know, I made a decision, a different approach for this session. I decided to forget everything about technique and just try to go as fast as possible and let my subconscious take over. I created a trigger for myself to just try to go fast. A very simple one really, to just point forward with my hand before every lap. That would kind of hypnotize me into the most focused state possible. And then something happened. This is where everything changed for me, because suddenly I started feeling at one with the car. And just by trying to go fast, I figured something that made me just gain so much lap time. And it's about braking. Let me explain. You know about trail braking, right? You drag the brakes into the corner to keep the car rotating. This technique allows you to brake later and accelerate earlier, so it's a hell of a technique. The thing though is that if you do it too much, you lock up the tires. If you lock the rear, you spin right away. If you lock the front tires, you go straight. The car doesn't turn at all. So you need to find the perfect, precise amount of braking to make the trail braking work. And what I was doing before was carrying way too much braking pressure into the corner. So I was locking the tires, and like I said, I was either going straight or spinning. So while being in that mindset of just going as fast as possible without thinking too much about technique, I actually realized that I could do a lot less trail braking in that car mid-corner. And then I immediately carried more speed into the corner. As soon as I noticed that I actually had more grip available, I just started doing it again and again and again, while still doing the hand trigger to keep me going as fast as possible. This is when I realized that I got into the flow state. I just kept repeating that, and the qualifying session felt like a dream. It went by so fast that 15 minutes felt like 5. And then I quickly noticed that this session was over, and that was pole position.
Good job, Mike.
I loved the spare car. It just felt perfect, balanced, and with my new epiphany about braking in that car, everything fit together. This is how I regained my confidence, and now I felt more ready than ever before to actually race for the win in real life. Here's my mission for race 1. Have the best start possible and get away from the draft. This track has a lot of straights, which means if the car behind gets close, they can gain a lot of speed and use that to go for an overtake. So if I can get away from that, I will have a lot more chances of actually winning the race. The only thing I'm thinking here, technically speaking, is you just need to break the draft. Make no mistakes on the first few laps. Open that gap so the drivers don't get the draft and regain the chances of overtaking me again. The race is gonna be way too difficult if I let them stay in the draft. So as you can see here, I get out of the pits and the first thing I'm thinking is I need to warm up these tires because I really need that first lap to be as fast as possible, and I know that the car is very sketchy with cold tires. Starting P1 in this situation, I know that the start of the race will mean everything. If I don't make any mistakes on the first few laps, my chances of winning are gonna be very high. So here I can control the race start. The race is gonna start when I decide to accelerate. So I'm gonna try to trick the drivers or to have the best start possible by decelerating a tiny bit and then smashing on power to get that advantage. And as you can see, I actually did get a little bit of a gap, which definitely helps me not being attacked on corner 1 on cold tires. So all I need right now is to precisely brake and do the best corner I can without losing the car. It's sliding all over the place, a little bit of understeer on the exit, and then braking here, trying to not lock the inside left. And the car is a little bit sideways, but really on the limit. Everything went fine here. That's turn 1, turn 2, we're still ahead. P2 is right there, so I actually go for a defensive line here, and then I open up a little bit to the outside to make sure I don't sacrifice my line too much. And then again, like micro-locking there, getting back on power and feeling that the car is really sliding all over the place, but in a neutral way. You know, it's not too much understeer, it's not too much over. It's really like just sliding perfectly to the outside, which is lovely. He's still there. I'm still looking at the mirror all the time. And because of that, I actually make a mistake and I brake a little bit too late here and I end up missing this corner. And that's where I kind of panic, because is he getting a good exit and passing me here? But actually he also misses the corner because cold tires. So I end up still maintaining the position, looking in the mirrors, then opening up and trying to do this corner with lifting the least possible and maintaining that speed, and also like hard braking into this one, kind of sketchy. If you lock the rears on the braking, it's kind of scary. And then back to the chicane, engine braking, kind of making the car rotate, and back on the power, getting the car to do that like micro slide. And that's lap 1. We survived. We're P1. It's just repeat. Do the same thing. That's all we need to do. Nail these corners. It's difficult though to not look at the mirrors, but at this point all I really need is to get as much performance as possible to open this gap. That's my goal, and I'm really full send here. I'm driving 11 out of 10 because I know that this might be my first win and I cannot waste it. At this point my heartbeat is like 185, but as you can see, still sending it, using all the track and trying to open up this gap, and then still looking in the mirrors. As you can see, I'm like, where is he? Where is he? I can't see him. He's like right behind me, and I'm still maintaining that gap. So right now, same thing. I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable because I see that he's struggling, and the more time I spend ahead, the better it's gonna be, because the tires are gonna be a little bit harder and I'm gonna be able to be a little bit more consistently on the limit. And here we are, lap 3, still on the limit, almost getting on the dirt right there, looking for him. Is he there? Is he not there? And then I realized that, well, I actually see him exiting the corner a little bit further down, so we're starting to open the gap right now. Still need to keep sending it to be fully away from the draft. I want to be at least 2 seconds ahead so he gets absolutely no draft, and then I can feel a little bit more comfortable. And he is probably gonna force more and more and more, so the pressure might be on him, which actually made him make a mistake. And you can see that P2 made a mistake and ended up falling back to P4 because of it. So that means that at this stage in the race, I won the pressure game. I was able to stay ahead and not make mistakes, and because he was forcing the car 11 tenths, 12 tenths, he actually went over and he made a mistake. So that's a good thing. That's the first time I'm ahead with a little bit of breathing room. That's it. It's just maintaining the pace. Just maintaining the pace. Just maintaining the pace. But here's the thing though. This is the first time I'm P1 and I look in the mirrors and I'm opening the gap to a point where there's no one behind, and I keep driving and I keep driving and I keep driving and I keep driving, and they disappear. I'm ahead of everyone. I don't see anything. I get into this weird state where it feels lonely and easy to lose focus, because at this point I'm less nervous. I feel that my body's adrenaline is going down a little bit. The more I drive in this state of leading the race and seeing no one behind, the more relaxed I get, and the more I start feeling small things that adrenaline was preventing me from feeling. For example, I was starting to feel physically tired from driving, and having that much G-force started like getting in my head. I was like, oh, come on, no, buddy, you need to keep going. And now I'm starting to feel all these little things, almost like my head is trying to remove my focus. Now I start feeling the sweat dripping into my eyes, and it starts like burning my eyes. And I'm like, come on, I should not feel these things. I start coughing. We just need to keep focused. And with the adrenaline going down, it felt a little bit weird. I also didn't know how much time I had left. So every time I was going through the straights, it felt like, okay, when is this race gonna be over? At this point, I just want to win this race. And I want it to end because it's getting tiring. I'm starting to feel my arm, and I'm starting to even use my elbow to pull the car. And I'm like, come on, I just need the white flag. I just need to finish this race. Because I'm afraid, honestly, of making a mistake due to not being focused. So this was the experience of race 1. It's being P1. It's being ahead and being in such a comfortable situation that your body relaxes, and you have to deal with not being focused, and you have to fight to keep that mental strength, that mental precision. And honestly, I think this was a very good experience to realize that the adrenaline makes a big difference. But eventually I find that I'm actually lapping the last driver. And by the way, there's an unexpected challenge for race 2. This is where the real action will begin, so you don't want to miss that. That's it. That's my first win. I actually won a Formula 4 race, and I'm so happy. It feels weird. It was like, all I need to do now is, I don't know, win again for race 2. We have the package. We have the car. I found the pace. I'm starting P1 on race 2 again. Let's do this. Now here's what I didn't think was gonna happen. For race 2, the team decided that I will race in the other car, the one I used in practice. Now I'm nervous because even though they are identical, each car has its own personality, and I will have to adapt to the other car during the race. So my mission is simple: adapt fast and fight for the win again. On the outlap in a new car, and I was like, how is the balance gonna be? Like even adjusting the mirrors, because I forgot to change the mirrors. And then here I am trying to feel the car, trying to warm up. The steering wheel feels a tiny bit different, it's a little bit heavier. I'm definitely gonna have to be careful, but I cannot let that into my head, because if I am just a little bit careful, P2 is driving with his same car. He knows exactly how to push this car on the limit. He's gonna have an advantage on that, so I cannot let that happen. And here we are, same strategy, kind of like get the best exit possible. This time he was a little bit closer. I think his reaction time was much better. Let's see what I can do here into turn 1, cold tires, new car, new balance. I get into T1, I turn a little bit oversteery there because of cold tires, and here I'm already defending because he's right there on the outside, so I have to block a little bit and then try to get the best exit possible here. And then as soon as I get back on power here, I realize the car does not turn on exit and I have to lift. That is very, very bad, because after lifting on a corner exit like that, you become so vulnerable to being attacked on the next corner because of the straight line speed that we lose on that exit. And then here's the same thing. Now he's right there, he's attacking, he's getting the draft. I'm in trouble and I'm gonna defend. And this is the biggest mistake I'm going to do on race 2. I give a little bit too much space, and I end up compromising my line here. I almost lose the car, get back on power, and I realize that he's right there on the left, and I fail to close the road. So now he is actually on the left, on the fastest corner here. He's gonna have the better line, and I'm gonna have to let him go this time. So first lap, lost P1, not fun. But what I really need to do right now is to be as close as possible to him. At least now, getting his draft, I'm gonna have a little bit of breathing room to test the car and to find the limits and see if I can attack again. He's already a little bit ahead, he's really used to his car, and I'm still testing. I'm still worried about P3 now, but I have a little bit of space, so at least in this situation I can focus on trying to get P1. And again, now I'm gonna try to kind of mimic a little bit and test the car on the limit. As soon as the tires warm up, I realized that this car is really lazy to turn in comparison to my first car on race 1, and that's gonna be my biggest issue. He's weaving here, trying to break up a little bit the draft. I'm not in a rush to pass him right away because I know that a lot of things can happen in this race. It's like 16 laps, so I just want to be as close as possible to him, because also one thing that's going to be very important here is to not fight too much with P1, because I really want to open the gap from P3. I want to fight with him only. If we let more people get into the battle, it's going to complicate things way too much. One thing that really scared me in the race too was that a rock hit my mirror, and you can see it happening right now. I felt that hard, and I was like, oh my god, something hit the mirror and broke it. So what I'm doing here is actually even lifting a little bit before the corners to make sure I just keep very close to him without making him slow down, because right now I want to open the gap to P3 and 4. Kind of not trusting the car to do flat here, doing like a half lift. I want to be closer though, but I'm afraid of the dirty air. I'm afraid of how the car is going to behave aerodynamically wise when I get very close to him. So I'm taking it easy. We're more or less 0.7, 0.8 seconds gap, which means I'm still getting a little bit of the draft, and if I'm fast, I'm gonna stay there. I can win this race. What I need to do right now is regain the confidence on this new car with a new car setup, with new tires. When I get confident with that, I'm going to attack again. So here I am. Again, same problems of understeer a little bit. I see that he's getting a lot better exits, and I'm really struggling with exits on this new car compared to the other car from race 1. And here again, like just trying to get the car to turn in. As soon as I get back on power, you can see me lifting and lifting and lifting just because the car does not turn. And I was like, I need to figure out a way to get more rotation on corner entry, get the car to point better, so when I get back on power, I don't need that much rotation and I don't struggle that much with understeer. So right now what I'm gonna do is try to get the consistency, and whenever he makes a mistake, I'm gonna go for it. And then he makes a mistake, and I was like, oh yeah, thank you so much, sir. So I just make the pass. Now I'm P1 again. But I know that this time we have a very similar pace, and he is gonna get the draft and he's gonna go for it again. Halfway into the race, I'm still not capable of fixing those exits. The car is understeering so much. I try to turn in here, I get back on power, and you see me lifting again. And this is the exit difference that allows him to stay so close. He's getting such better exits that now he's attacking. I'm on the inside again, and again I make the same mistake of giving him way too much space. Look at that, look at how much space I'm giving. Now I'm like completely sacrificing my own line, and I go to the outside and he does the same thing. He tucks in on the left here before the fast corner, and there's nothing I can do. So pretty much the tool that he used to pass me in the first place, he did it again, and I did the same mistake. The thing though is that when I was racing, I didn't realize that I was giving that much space on that corner. But I did, and now that I watched the race, that is my biggest lesson from this race. When I finally get to attack him, you're gonna see how much space he gives me. I'm staying close again, expecting him to make a mistake, but still struggling with the exits, so I can never really get close enough to try and make a pass under braking. You can see how I never get really close under braking, because on the exits before, I always struggle with the speed. So at this point now, I'm in a different mode. I go to full push, and I try to be as close as possible to see if whenever he makes a single mistake, I'm gonna go for it regardless of what the corner it is. Now it's like, this is my chance. We have just a few laps to go, and I want this win. I want to do it. So yeah, I realize that the place I get the closest to him is on the last chicane, because I can see that I'm a lot more confident on the high speed turn 10 and the last chicane. So maybe the place for me to attack is right before turn 2, and then we fast forward a little bit. On the last sector, you can see how close I get. Look at that. Like I gain half a second just there. So I know that that's gonna be my chance. I get as close as possible here. I even do it kind of like thinking maybe it's possible to do it here, but no, I don't want to do it here. I want to stay close to him. I need to be on the limit. I need to get this best chicane possible I can. He locks up. I kind of lose the rears. Alright, so this is going to be the last lap, and that's the only chance I have. I know that my chance is gonna be on turn 2 and 3, so I'm gonna have the best chicane I can do here, set up the best exit possible. I'm close to him. I'm gonna get the draft now. About very close to hitting that cone, but I didn't. So let's go. That's the white flag. I'm right on the draft, getting as much speed as possible, and then trying to go here on the inside. And something happened here. I'm kind of hesitated, but I'm still going for it. I braked a little bit, and then still getting like trying to outbrake here on this one on the inside. I went for it finally, but this is how much space he gave me. Almost nothing, but it's still not over. I'm trying to get the best exit possible here. This time the line difference actually made a difference, so I could get the draft and go for this next one here. And he's gonna squeeze me all the way, and this is how much space he gives me here. I start braking and get on top of the curb. The curb kind of pulls my car, so it kind of kills a little bit my line. I go off track, I hit the dirt, and then right after the dirt I actually hit the concrete, which kind of like hits the car. I was actually afraid of damaging the car because of that, but I was just sending it because this was my chance. This was what I could do. Alex just did a wonderful job here defending for the position, so he deserved the win. And then at the end here, the team loved seeing us fighting so hard because the team is preparing us both as race car drivers. And the first thing I did was to congratulate him, and like that was such a respectful race, such a close race. This is the kind of racing that, you know, makes it worth it for sure. So congrats to Alex. I learned something today. I got the chance to practice the racecraft in a way that I have never done before in real life racing. So that was amazing. I'm gonna give less space next time. I'm gonna be a little bit more aggressive. I'm gonna be a little bit closer, and that's it. Before you leave this video, I have a gift for you for staying until the end. Use the coupon YouTube20 to get the best online course in the planet about racing technique, the motor racing checklist. You can have access to 60 lessons, incredibly advanced and detailed lessons that will make you a much better racing driver. You have absolutely no idea. If you have any questions, send me a message on Discord and I can talk about all that. And by the way, there's a lot of racing technique content on my channel, so make sure you watch this video.